Hi everybody, Jo here again. Time to grab that brew and let's have a bit of a crafty catch up. And today we're going to make this card. Recently I was saying about doing a vintage card, and a couple of you emailed or messaged me and asked if I would create a vintage card. And it just happens that I've just got my hands on this lovely stamp from Tracy Evans. It's with Aall Create and it's textured florals. It's the first part of her new release, and I was a bit late getting mine, so as soon as I got it I knew I would have to have a play. Now for those of you that watch this, as soon as I pop it on, you'll know that the second half of her release is on the craft store today, this afternoon, so be sure to tune into that. She's got some more goodies for you. So really the main image is obviously this absolutely gorgeous flower here. Don't need a lot else. I didn't want to overcomplicate it. I wanted a nice vintage feel. I have added a bit of a stencil here, and the stencil I used it the other day actually, you may remember, and it's just been a bit difficult. Come here. And it's 85 and it's Abundance by Olga, and I just love the leaf. Sorry, trying to see what I'm actually showing you. These areas, I just love picking out different areas. I mean, this is gorgeous as well. But for me, just to tie it in, and you probably haven't even noticed the stenciling, it's just in the top corner and the bottom corner. I didn't want to overcomplicate it because I just adore this flower so much. So we shall begin, and I'm doing this on it's a 6x6 card blank, so I'm using a 5x5 square piece of card, and this is just the stencil card I'm using from Clarity. I just find it a good all-round card, and I'm going to be adding water, and it's very good with that. I think once you find a card, we do tend to stick to it, don't we? I am a bit late popping in today. I was hoping to pop in a bit early for a chat and a catch up, but the weather was nice this morning and it's supposed to rain this afternoon, so I've been out in the garden. So I've quickly washed my hands, and I thought I'd come and have a catch up. So I'm just going to have a little sip of water. Excuse me before we start. I literally came straight in and thought I'd come and have a catch up with you. Now what we're going to do, because I just wanted a simple background, what I did first was I chose 3 of my distress. I'm using oxide just because that's what's on my desk. And I've gone for Ground Espresso, Vintage Photo, and as you know, I love this pumice stone. I use this so much to start off with. And we're just going to do that age-old, you know we love doing this, and it's just that direct to paper. I don't actually want to make this. I could score the card first and it would look like faux wood grain, but I don't particularly want it to look like wood grain. I just want it to look like a general sort of vintagey design. But by all means, if you want to score your card first, obviously you can. And I'm going to come in with my Vintage Photo next, just to add a bit of oomph around the sides. And again, I'm going to do this on all 4 sides. And again, it's important to keep the angle. Don't put your ink pad flat, otherwise you'll end up with too much ink. And I just want a little bit of something, a few darker areas. So again, we'll just, and again, you can see what you want, this corner a bit darker. Let's just, there we go. Such a great background to do, so quick and easy. Works well with lots of different colours. And I'll just clean that up because you know what I'm like. I like a nice clean area. And basically, that's our background done. Now, I am going to spritz, add some water and ink, but I want to do my stamping first because it just saves me having to dry the card then. Sorry, excuse me. I knew my throat was going to kick in today. So I'm going to use this, as I say, gorgeous flower, and I'm going, because it's a vintage look, I've gone for my brown VersaFine Clay, and this is Acorn, and I must admit I do find I use this colour an awful lot. If you haven't got any coloured VersaFine Clays in your craft stash, I would maybe look at just getting a couple. so useful with them being a permanent ink. And it just gives you a different look rather than always stamping in black. So I've got to think, so my card's going this way and I want this sort of there. So I'm using my Aall Create acrylic block here. And again, remember it's flexible, so you can always keep one hand on your stamp, but you can flex with your other. And again, give that ink time to soak in. I know we say it time and time again, but it's so important. There we go. Now, while we've got it, I just want to stamp. Just looking for a little piece of card. I want to stamp the flower again. And we're going to decoupage it. So while I'm stamping, how are you doing? How are things going? Okay, I hope. I have to say it's been nice here. It's just warmed up a bit. Mind you, I had to go in the garden because we've had rain, plenty of rain, but also we've had it warm. So everything's gone mad, growing. So I'm at that stage of cutting things back. It is funny as a gardener, isn't it? You plant things, you want them to grow, and then before you know it, they grow up too much and you have to cut them back. Or you have to train them. My passion flower's growing beautifully, thank goodness. I thought I'd killed it because I cut it back quite hard. But even that, it's lovely to see it growing. But obviously, I've got to keep tying it in. It's got lovely tendrils and it sort of twists round, but it tends to twist round things it's not supposed to. Right, there we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to watercolour this. You know I like a bit of watercolour painting. And I just find it the easiest way for me to add colour. And I'm going to use my vintage photo. So I'm going to put some of that on my mat and some ground espresso. And it's a funny little habit of mine. I always put my lighter colour at the top and then my darker colour a bit further down. Now, because we've stamped in a permanent ink, we can just add this and paint in. Now, again, the designer of the stamps will always show you where you've got shade. And again, Tracy's no exception. She's put, if you look, she's put the lines of the stamp where we need the shade. And this is just such a lovely thing to do. So I'm starting with my lighter colour and I'm almost putting a bit of a wash. I am leaving some areas in the middle, just really as highlight. I mean, I've got to be honest, it's probably me being lazy. It saves me adding white for my highlight. Now, the leaves that are underneath, I'm painting almost all of those because they're going to be in shadow because they're under. Now, to be honest, I would take a little bit longer doing this, but I do worry, I don't want to bore you because we've done this so many times before. I think we can add a little bit more on that one. And then what I'm going to do is just come in with my darker colour. So this one's ground espresso. And like I say, I know these bottom leaves are going to be darker because they're in shade, because they're underneath. So if you're not sure what to do those first. So we've got another one there and that one there. And then always at the top here, this is going to be darker where it's near the middle. Now I don't need to paint that because I'm going to cut round that. And then just at the tips here, if you look, we've got lots of lines there, so that's darker. So again, this bottom one will be darker, and then at the end, that one's underneath, so we can give that a good bit of shade. So into the darker colour. And if you're worried that your colour's too dark, go in with your lighter colour and just blend it a little bit. In fact, you can mix the two colours if you want to and then get that colour in between. And you know what? It's as simple as that. And now here's one in the good old Blue Peter fashion that I did earlier, and I've cut it out because obviously you don't want to see me cutting out, but it is quite an easy shape to cut out. So anybody who doesn't like your fussy cutting, I know there's a few of you, we've certainly got Barbara at our workshops, but this is a nice easy shape to cut out. Now on my original, I'm just going to add some brown here, just a combination of the two colours. And then what I'm going to do is just come in with my lighter colour and paint the stem and also give myself a bit of a shadow. Now quite often we would use either our charcoal or clean colour pens and do a shadow in a grey or a black, or our watercolour pencils. But because I want this to be a vintage and I want to keep it all tone on tone, I'm just going to roughly add a little bit with my brown. Then I'm going to come in with the darker colour here and let's just add a bit more shade. And then a bit of a shadow on there. I want to keep that, but I'm going to do my stenciling now. So I think I'll use my mid colour. I'm going to use my vintage photo, and I've got a stencil brush here. And obviously I tend to turn my work, I just find it easier. And there's a couple of leaves here that I like, just pointing down from that corner. I could have had them coming out from but I love this flower so much, I really didn't want to spoil sort of the integrity of it. Now you can tape your stencil down if you want. I'm afraid, you know me, don't have time for that. Now again, remember, lift your stencil up and have a look. Oh yeah, that's looking nice. A little bit more. I don't need it too dark. Yeah, that's nice. I don't want to distract from it, but I just love that in the background. If I lift it a bit closer, can you see that? So we'll put the same in this corner. There are so many parts to this stencil. So, and try and always brush away from the stencil. You don't want to brush this way and catch that. A tiny bit more. Just in this corner. There we go. How beautiful is that? And now that I've done that, I can use this ink here. And I just want to add a few splats here. I didn't want to do that first because I would have had to dry it. That's the only reason I've left it till now. Just want those around there. I think that just adds to it. And we'll mop that up. Ooh. And as I say, I've got my flower cut out. And I'm just going to decoupage that on there. I mean, already, how beautiful is that? Now, I've used a sentiment, and it's off another stamp set that was part of Create's first release. And it's Bring On the Sentiments. Such lovely sentiments here. And I've gone for Today Is Your Day. This is for a very special friend, and she's a bit poorly at the minute. And I thought a nice card just saying to her, today is the day. I just think it's your day. I think that'd just be so good for her. But what I want to do is I want to stamp the first. I've stamped it out on card already. But I just want to stamp the first letter, the today. got so much here I can't find my stamps. Do you ever do this? I'm sure you do. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I want to stamp today on my little lolly stick here, look, but to get it in the middle would actually be partly on. So we'll just use a piece of paper. So, I mean, I could just clean the stamp that I've inked up, the is bit, but whenever I do that, they never clean properly. So today I'll be there to go in the middle. So let's just, there we go. But again, if you find just wiping the stamp clean works for you, it's like everything, you do with what works for you. We all have our own little quirks, don't we? And for me, that's just my preferred method. But as I say, whatever works for you. So we've got our today, we'll let that dry. And I'm just going to cut this out. Nice big pair of scissors. And again, I just need is your day. So we'll get rid of today. How many times do you feel like doing that, eh? And we'll just edge this with our vintage photo. And we'll just do it straight from the ink pad. Now, I'm actually going to put this on my card blank before I add my flower. Just me being me, I tend to like to do the decoupaging and adding all that bits once my card's made up. And again, that's just the way I work. I mean, everybody's different. So again, you do with how it suits you. So I've got a 6x6 card blank here. And again, I have to do the belt and braces, so we've got some low tack tape, some finger lift tape, and then we're just going to use some glue as well. Just so I'm covering all eventualities. They should both stick. And also turn the corners over, bunny ears. So those of you who are new, it's a great way. If you take your tape off altogether, sometimes it can stick to stick. If you need to move it, jiggle it about a bit. So obviously I can put this down, look, and I can move it to get it exactly where I want it. And then when I'm happy, I can pull the tape. Nice and quick. Now, I'm going to use my Pin Flare glue gel just to decoupage this. Give it a bit of shape first, and then what I want is I want the glue gel, more of it here, but I do want a little bit just to catch some of these lower bits. And again, you can just, whatever your glue of choice is. And I do find this gives me a little bit of wiggle time as well. There we go. And then we're going to have today up here. Is your day down here? And we just want a nice string bow. So again, if anybody's new, really easy way to make a bow. You just make 2 bunny ears, put one over the other, pop it through the loop, and then you can decide whatever size. So I want it a bit smaller, so I'll pull these, pull it a bit tighter. So if anybody missed that, 2 bunny ears, look. And then you take one in front of the other, push it round, and then under that loop there. And then when you pull, you've got your bow. And as I say, you can vary the size. I want it quite small. Yeah. I think that's the sort of... You have to cut it a bit longer just so it gives you that wiggle. And again, I'll use my trusty pin flare for that there. And then we'll pop some on here. As I say, whatever glue of choice. Right, we'll just pop that. Oh, got a bit of glue on there, need to get rid of that. It's your day. Now again, with your pin flare, always really important, just push that up and fasten it. Now, oh, we didn't glue today down. I didn't hear you shouting at me, reminding me. So we'll pop that on. Or were you there saying, come on? I would have noticed once as soon as I picked it up. Now what I do want is I want a little bit of shadow on those. So I'm just going to add a little bit of vintage photo again. And just lightly. And again, just at the bottom and on the right hand side. And again, on this one, we'll add a bit. You don't have to do this. I just think it finishes it off. Makes it, you know, looks like you've thought about the whole thing. Get rid of that. And then I wanted something on here. And I wasn't sure what, I didn't know where to put. I could have put little gems on there, but I just thought with it being vintage, that it just almost didn't follow the theme. So I looked in my stash and I've got some natural curly moss. And I thought, well, it's brown, it's organic, and it's just wonderful stuff. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to use some of that. I didn't want to add glitter. I just thought with it being vintage, I just felt it wasn't the right sort of image that I wanted to add glitter. Now, don't worry, the my glue dries clear. So although you can see it white now, it will dry clear. So I'm going to get some nice bits of this lovely curly moss. This is one of those things that I bought, you know, when you see something and you think, oh, I love that, but what am I going to use it for? Well, I think I need to cut it. I thought I might be able to just snap that hard bit off. Right, let's recurl it. And then let's have some of these bits. Oh, that's a nice curly bit. And I don't want any comments, please, about the curly bits. We've got another. This is the bit though, isn't it? It took me longer to do this than it has done to make the whole card. I like that bit there. Makes it quite 3D. So another bit there. Then I just want a tiny bit. Oh, there's a nice. I love collecting things like this though. I think we all do, don't we? How many of us? Literally, the fir cones. Acorns will be the next thing. You'll all be there getting your acorns. Honestly, you will. If you haven't already. Right, I'm going to stop now because I think that's just the right amount. Right, and those bits I'm going to put back in because you never know. I might need them, mightn't I? So our finishing little thing is our white Posca splatters. And we'll just Have a few on there. That's enough. Walk away, don't have too many. And I think my friend is going to really love this. And you know what? Look at that, I've got another one of those that's drying, ready for the next one for me to decoupage. That's the thing about us crafters, isn't it? We've always got one ready, one in the making. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for joining me. It's always lovely to have you join in. There's the one we've created today, and there's the one that I'd already made. If you have a go, I'd love you to post on Facebook in our Aall Create's Fanatics group. And if you want to tag me in, it'd be lovely to see. Just your vintage take on it. What do you think? Maybe you're going to use a different sentiment. Maybe you've got something different to use here. I'm just thinking little bumblebee. It'd be lovely on that, wouldn't it? But that's it. These stamps, honestly, you just start thinking, as soon as you start creating with them, you just get another idea, another design. Anyway, you take care, everybody. I'm going to go now. It's time for that brew. I didn't have one. I came straight in from the garden and catching up with you. So I think I've deserved it, don't you? You take care, everybody. Thanks very much. Love and hugs. Bye for now.